Well, I'm moving on to my windshield stations here. What I did was drill a hole in here, cut a bolt that would fit, and welded it in. And I've got just enough room down here to put a nut on. So I'll go over there and get this one done. They don't have to be super strong, but I'm pretty sure that weld's good enough to hold it. And now we'll just go on and drill the other one. I just drilled this enough to actually just center a bolt in it. I don't really care about the depth, just to get it in the center and help me tack it in. Now cut a bolt off and tack it, and I'll be ready to do this one. Well, here's the other one. I just welded it in. Goes in good, sticks out the bottom a little. Now I'll just clean them up with a wire brush, spray a little paint on them, and move on to cutting my windshields. Well, here it is laid out on the plexiglass. I've got two curved places in it. It looks like about this much of it straight, and a little bit's curved. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, just cut a square piece that'll fit in here, and then I'm going to try to put the metal on it and mark a curved end, measure how much length I got here. Hopefully get this marked on this plastic sheet here. This is the machine cut edge. The other side's where I cut it with a sawzall. I mean a jigsaw. I'm going to try to put the good edge on the bottom and use my crooked one up and top. So anyway, I'll do a little measuring and cut this the square piece out first and move on from there. Well, that was 35 inches. It looks like it went in pretty good here. I'll knock it down flat or put it in as far as I can where it's straight, and mark it. That'll tell me how much needs to be curved. Well, I got it cut and stuck it in the frame, and it looks like it's going pretty good. And my edges up here on the top on both sides line up. So I'm going to put a little silicone in this bottom of this frame and take this protective wrap off of here and tap it in and see what I get. Well, went in good. It's a little tight on the turning. Probably use some oil on that. But glass, as far as I can tell, is perfectly straight across here. And I don't think there's going to be any problem if there's any little tiny bends in the bottom. This one had a aluminum spacer in it here, so that kind of centered the glass. I didn't put a lot of silicone in, I was out of it, but it looks pretty good. Now I can stick the top piece on and see what it looks like. Well, there it is. all bolted in, and I can tighten up the top. The bottom does move. It's pretty tight. I don't even have a bolt on it, but that's a pretty big gap. Really wasn't expecting that so much, but that's the way it is. But looks fine. Everything's straight. It's in good and tight. I need to get some more seal and make me a better seal here. I had a piece left out of a door. It almost finished, but not quite. At any rate, windshield's in. And the bottom one turned out really good as far as straight, and the top one's plenty good enough. So, windshield's done. Moving on. Got some more oil for this thing. And change it out. Pretty much all done here. Got to hook up the tack. Moving on. Well, here's the next project. Set of air shocks. They go from about 10 inches to 14. And kind of got one stuck up in there right now. It's like I'm going to move it around here to the square part of the back of the frame, and then I figure out what kind of bolt I need on the bottom. Try and get this locked up to where I need it. Well, here is collapsed. I'm trying to. Well, I put a pair of vice grips on that shock about where the rubber is going to hold it, and you can see it's sticking in there pretty straight. And right here, it's right at the bottom of this trailing arm. So it looks like I can just put a bolt in there and just weld it straight onto the arm. And this one, it'd be easy to make a flat plate with a hole in it to replace those vice grips. Weld it on, and that'll give me almost a perfect shock mount, straight up and down. Might have to cut a little bit more out of that floorboard there to clear it. So now I can jack it up. This is in the collapsed position. I'll see if I can show you there. Well, kind of hard to see, but if you look there at that U-bolt in the nut that's going through the transmission that holds this third member on, you can see it there when I'm pulling down on it. That's like 30-40 pounds force, and it's right at the bottom. So I would consider that this is bottomed out, and this would be almost a perfect place to mount the shock. Just a straight bolt right through here. Now I'm going to jack it up and See what kind of clearance I get when I lift the body up. Alright, here I jacked it up. And it looks like up in there I got, I can't tell if the camera's showing it, but I got at least 2 inches, or about 2 inches from the third member there. And if I'm looking at this, I'm about halfway up this thing here. So it looks like it's almost 1-to-1. This might be 1.5 inches, 2 inches here. This is 7-inch travel shock. Just about 1-to-1. Of course, if I was to move this back this way, that should give me another that's about 30-40 degree angle, and I'm up at the right at the top of this trailing arm here. And that would be fairly easy to put that shock in at that angle. And it'd give me a little more travel on the shock. And it's probably from the bottom to the top here, maybe 3 inches. And we didn't really move this around too much. Yeah, it's about like 30 degrees here. So I can put a plate in there about 30 degrees and extend that shock down to the bottom of that trailing arm. And that'll give me a little bit of an angle on it. And the body came up 2 or 3 inches anyway. That's just on one side. I don't know if lifting that one side pushed this one down or not. But anyway, can't really tell, but in the camera anyway. But the body's up about 3 inches here. So that's what I'll do from collapsed all the way down. Let's see if it'll go back down now. It only went down when I put power on it. Let's let this down. Yeah, it didn't go back down very much. I think this is where it was at before. It looked like I had 2 or 3 inches. And yeah, up there on the top of the thing, it looks like I got 1/2 inch. So it almost came down. That's what I'll do. I'll put a bolt back here somewhere, and just weld it straight. I'll tack it up first, and then I can put the bottom of that shock in right there, and then I can go up here on top and cut me a piece of steel and drill it for that, and then I can weld that in at an angle, and that should give me plenty of room to put this in. And I could lift it up quite a bit, but I'm hoping that, you know, 5-10 pounds of air will lift it up about 2 or 3 inches. Won't make it look too bad. Yeah. We'll see. Next I'll just start tacking some stuff in and trying to get these shocks sorted out. And in the meantime, call this done for the day. And I don't know, what did I do? Oh yeah, windshield's in. First thing, what I did here, I just cut 2 pieces of 4-inch steel, and if I use a step drill on them once from each side, it makes a perfect hole for the shock mount. Yeah, when I drill these, that little step drill on both sides, it's left a little tiny ridge right in the middle, which is fine. That's just the way it goes, like that. And basically we'll go down in here and replace this vice grip. In fact, I'm going to put that on there right now. So I clamped that in there, put shock on it. It's loose right now. See, I can move it around. I got a lot of sharp edges I'm going to have to get off there. And down here, it looks like I can just put a bolt right under this thing. I don't know if you can see under there. It looks like the shock is coming through. And that's about what I figured. I have to open the shock up a little. And this is nowhere near tight. You know, it's got to come up about 1 inch. So that'll maybe raise it about 2 inches. I have about 2 inches of shock in it just before it meets the limit of its travel. And that'll give me about 4 more on top. That should be more than plenty. You know, once I get that rod in there welded down on that trailing arm for the shock, then I can tell what I'm going to do up here as far as what angle that it needs to be mounted at and stuff like that. Well, I got that. You can see that bolts at a pretty good angle there. But I had it on her straight. I couldn't get it off. And now I got it where I can get the thing off. So if I want to replace the shock, I don't have to cut up something. And up on top there, it's in the bracket. It's loose. Like you can see, I can kind of move the whole shock up in there. So it's going to be a big ugly weld, but it'll be plenty strong when I get through. And then I can mount that one on top. Well, here's this side of the bolt welded. I built it up real big right there in top. I'll crawl around the other side and weld it on the other part, but that should be plenty strong enough for a shock. There's my solution. It's not perfectly straight. It's tilted, you know, that bar is flat basically, and it's tilted in a little bit, it looks like, compared to the shock, but I think it'll be alright. Those rubbers will take up quite a bit, and it's pretty close. Looks like I might be hitting my floorboard back there, but when it's in the middle it's clearing it, so, but I should bend it a little. Anyway, here's a mock-up for the welding. I just cut a little 1/4 inch piece of bar stock and stuck under there to make that angle. Look like it could be a little more, but you know, it's just a rat rod anyway, so if it's pretty close, that's good enough. Well, I got that all welded in. Looks good. Ready to bolt up. Start looking at the other side, and the battery's in the way. The frame's probably an inch inside that battery. Hopefully I can extend it out far enough to miss the battery. I already cut the piece and drilled it, so let's see if it'll work. Now let's see here. Yeah, that touched the frame there. So that's right at the end of the frame. And so that's about where it's going to go. It looks like it'll clear the battery. To turn it up like that. Anyways, that means this tank's got to come out again. The battery's got to come out. Then I can fix this one. Anyway, so I cut a little bit of that floorboard out. Hung this shock in there. I don't know if you can see down there, but it's hanging past that rod a couple inches at least. But it looks like all my angle up in here will work. I can move it in that way almost an inch, and I can weld this good here and put a gusset down in there, and I think that'll be strong enough. It'll actually make my battery box stronger because it's not very strong right now. And I'll try to pull that shock out and compress it again, make it the same length as that one. Now you can see pretty clearly why I need shock. I've only got 1/2 inch there, and that bolt will U-bolt will hit the other one. So right here is where I want to have it set and fully compressed. Maybe just give it a little bit more, but so anyway, I think I'll cut this one to size first, and then I can start moving it around and figure out where to mount that bottom bolt like that one. Anyway, so I cut a little bit of that floorboard out, hung this shock in there. I don't know if you can see down there, but it's hanging past that rod a couple inches at least. But it looks like all my angle up in here will work. I can move it in that way almost an inch, And I can weld this good here and put a gusset down in there, and I think that'll be strong enough. It'll actually make my battery box stronger because it's not very strong right now. And I'll try to pull that shock out and compress it again, make it the same length as that one. Now you can see pretty clearly why I need shock. I've only got ½ an inch there, and that bolt will, U-bolt will hit the other one. So right here is where I want to have it set and fully compressed. Maybe just give it a little bit more, but so anyway, I think I'll cut this one to size first, and then I can start moving it around and figure out where to mount that bottom bolt like that one. I just kind of temporarily welded that in there at what I hope is the right angle, and it looks like it's about the same as the other one, just on the side and not on top. And we'll see what the shock will do hanging down. Well, here's the bottom one welded in pretty good. Well, we can't see it because of the light, but I got plenty of weld on it there, and I'll do the same on the other side. And I can put a couple of nuts in here, spaces it out just about right for that shock to go on it and clear everything. Yeah, probably 3 nuts is a little better. Let me give it a whack here. That don't give me much room to bolt the shock. But it's clear and good. I'm not too happy about where that hose is pointing, but this angle looks pretty good. Clearing the battery box and everything. I'm just going to call this good. Put it in. If the shock, if that air line interferes with that spring, I'll just turn the shock around. Anyway, finish welding this one up, and hopefully we've got a shock on this side. Well, there's all the lines in. I keyed them and put them in a hole here. They're all tight. This compressor's not much good, but I should have about 10-15 pounds. Let's see if they move at all. Yeah, it looks like it's coming up real slow. Don't really have any way of measuring it, except to look under there where that bolt was hidden. Let's see if I can. Yeah, now I can kind of see what's happening. Get this with air again. There's air. I can't really see it moving. Not very much air pressure in here to start with. Well, I checked the pressure. It's got 10 pounds in it. Supposed to be running 20. See if I can get some more in it. Well, I checked it again. Yeah, I got 40 pounds this time. And I'm up a good inch, inch and a quarter. So looks like I can see the difference in the ride height. So it looks like that's going to work out good. Nothing's really bending or binding or hitting anything. I'm probably an inch off of bottoming out, and I got about an inch here before I bottom out. So I say that's a pretty done deal for the air shocks. Now I'll just put my tank and everything back in and see what happens.